Judging by the sound of the crowd, you would have thought that Fernando Alonso had just won that race, but it is Sebastian Vettel. 3 years to the race since he picked up his first win in Formula One. He wins again, and now he can be crowned champion when we head to Singapore in 2 weeks' time. Congratulations, Sebastian Vettel. Another imperious drive, and with the crowd packing out the pit lane here, Eddie, it's been a very special weekend all round for that young man.
Very special, and I think the reason why he's emotional, he actually, at the beginning of the season, he would have never put this down as a possible win. He wouldn't have done that in Spa last week either, or 2 weeks ago. And what's happened here, I think Adrian Newey and his team of aerodynamicists, they've got this car on a new level, and I tell you, the rest of the teams need to watch out.
And surely that is the greatest podium position in Formula One, right over the start-finish straight. It's just fantastic. Now, people have said that Sebastian Vettel can't overtake. Sebastian Vettel can't race. He's not a proper world champion until he can. Well, today, I think he proved that when he needs to overtake, he can do just that.
Well, I don't know whether we kickstart these people into it, because I remember making this particular question. Look at that for an overtaking move. It's absolutely amazing. He didn't need to do it. You know, he could have been so easy defensive. We would have been on his side had he said, look, what have I got to do? Pushing myself into a situation that could be the end of my race. Crash, front wing going off, just like Webber's did. This is bravery at its extreme.
And it's fantastic to watch. And we spoke before the race about the way that the car was set up, and we knew that he didn't have a top speed advantage over his rivals. And if he was caught in traffic, then he would have struggled, which makes this overtake all the more important, all the more special.
Oh, I think we're also clutching at straws here, because I think he does have the top speed. Look, he pulled away from everybody. He didn't have the same problem. We saw how many laps Lewis Hamilton spent behind Alonso, Michael Schumacher, everybody. For me, I don't think there's anything at all wrong. There is no slight little hiccup in this Red Bull car. They've moved to a new level. They've turned the page. I cannot see possibly anyone touching them for the remainder of the season. Well,
perhaps clutching at straws is just about all that we can do, because this man is just dominating Formula One at the moment. David asked the question, and it's so hard when someone's in the middle of their career to ask whether we're seeing a legend being born. What do you think? How good do you now think Sebastian Vettel is? Because he does seem to be getting the results.
Well, first of all, you have to look at the DNA. The DNA in his junior racing is exemplary. It's very good. You then see him come across in a car that has not a hope in hell's chance of winning a race here. He did that three years ago in a Toro Rosso, taking pole and making his first win. And he's gone on to prove us each and every time this man is about to emerge. You know, Michael Schumacher needs to go in his rocking chair in time to come and say, good God, here's that Vettel, and he's now won 9 world champions, and everyone thought that my 7 could never be beaten, but I think you could be looking at someone who is able to do that.
Yeah, well, Michael drove brilliantly today. He looks a long way away from the rocking chair at the moment, but we've got to put this win in context, because it did not start well for Sebastian Vettel. The home fans have had a fair bit to cheer about today. They didn't get the win, but they had a man on the podium, and they had a great start from Fernando Alonso. This is bravery at its extreme.
Well, it is. Look, and Lewis doesn't know which way to go. He had the problems last week with Kobayashi, and the one thing he doesn't want is a repeat performance. So he lets it go. He said, I'm going to take them on the DRS zone. I'm going to take them when Kers comes in. But he had a car that let him down, in my view. He didn't have. He seemed to be running out of revs. He was on the limiter. I don't know what was going on with this car today. They seemed to put a gurney on the rear of the wing, a reverse gurney, which I must check up on what the real proof of the value of that is, because for me it didn't seem to work.
And wasn't that special? He stuck his foot on the accelerator, he kept it there, maybe slightly held his breath, but he took the lead. Well done to Fernando Alonso. His car started to fade towards the end, but he finished on the podium. I wonder how his team principal Stefano Domenicali's feeling.
Well done, Stefano. Third place at Monza. How nerve-wracking were those last few laps?
As you can imagine, not easy considering what happened in Belgium. But you know, today I think that Red Bull was stronger. Congratulations to them, they did a fantastic job. McLaren was strong, but we were able to be there in front of them, at least in front of Lewis. Difficult race, and I'm sorry for Felipe, because without that touch with the mark, he could have been there also for on his racing action.
And did your old friend Michael Schumacher do you a favour by holding up the McLarens?
I don't know if they did a favour. He was doing his race, you know.
Well done.
Well done indeed. Congratulations to Ferrari. You can see the cars now being pushed down to Parc Fermé and eventually back to their garages. Now, Michael Schumacher, we mentioned him there. Well done to him. A great drive today. The car faded towards the end. He couldn't retain the podium position that he was hoping for today. The question everybody's asking, though, did he drive in a safe and correct manner? Talk us through
Well,
this.
let's have a look at this again. The rules are very clear. They were read out by David and by Martin during the race, and you cannot move twice. Now, everyone has the same vision as we have, and we can see the same things. It's a matter of opinion. I think that it certainly is questionable, and should be. There's one, and he comes clearly across another. For me, I'm sorry, that particular case, if I was a judge, I'd have to reprimand him. I'd certainly want to know why he did it. He will say he moved onto the racing line, but he did move twice.
OK, we can get Lewis Hamilton's view of the same incident here, and someone who shall remain nameless came up to me in the pit lane and said if it was Lewis Hamilton putting those moves, he would have been up before the FIA. What do you make of that?
Let's not get too into that. I mean, we don't want to go into the paranoia realms here, and that's where maybe we might be going with that one. Yes, Lewis seems to think he's victimised, and he has made that point in the past. But, you know, here's a situation. We know how hard Michael Schumacher races. So in the old day, when you pass him, or you have to pass him, then you know what you're in for.
Well, we were expecting a little bit of Ross Brawn there talking to Michael Schumacher. We couldn't hear from Ross there, but we can hear from Ross now. We heard a fair bit from him during the race. He was the man charged with telling Michael Schumacher just to watch his driving around that chicane. Let's hear from Ross at the end of today's race, where Michael Schumacher finished in a great fifth place. Nico Rosberg retired.
Well, Ross, a very entertaining race. Take us through it from your point of view.
We're obviously deeply disappointed at the start because, as you know, we had a different approach with Nico, and it would have been very interesting to see what could have happened with that today. And so that was very frustrating. And then I think Michael drove a fantastic race. Yeah, we know we haven't got the fastest car, but he had a really strong race. And the last couple of races, we've seen all the things that we know about Michael Schumacher.
They played all your instructions to him on the team radio. Why were you talking to him? Had Charlie Whiting had a word with you, asked you to calm him down, stop him moving across a lot?
Yeah, they were watching it and asking us to be a little bit more careful. It's all a balance between racing and not overstepping the mark. And Charlie just asked us to make sure we always left room for Lewis, which we did. So great racing. I mean, fantastic for Formula 1, really exciting.
It was, and what happened in the end? Did Michael did he go wide? Were his tyres going off? He seemed to sort of let Lewis past a bit.
We were talking on the radio about something, and he hit the limiter and had a slow gear change. He missed the gear change, and that's all it was. So it would have been interesting to see how much longer that was going to go on. But so a little mistake by Michael let Lewis through.
Thanks very much, Ross.
So plenty of entertainment for Ross Brawn at the pit wall, and plenty of entertainment for these fans here as well. I think all things considered, Eddie, considering that we were talking about is the DRS zone too much, is it not? We ended up with a race that actually, from front to back, was pretty interesting.
It was hugely interesting. It's just a pity that Vettel was on a different planet. I mean, quite honestly, we want to see a fight at the front. If you can't have a fight at the front, you want to have fights all the way down the grid. We saw that. We saw a great race from Duresta, Al-Daswari further down, and we must give credit to them as well. But at the front, I thought Button did an amazing job to bring himself up to that position. He said he'd look out for him in the race. I think Vettel was in a league of his own. Take him away, fascinating race. Shame it's so one-sided, just at the moment in today's race.
And when we're talking about the McLaren drivers, very interesting to see at times a rather cagey and nervous-looking Lewis Hamilton and a really racy Jenson Button. That's not their natural DNA.
Well, we heard what Button said. Who is the team leader? Who's the team leader? Stop those things. Who's the team leader? I'm the team leader, he said. Maybe Lewis also thinks he's team leader, but he was making his point. I'm the boss here now, and he demonstrated that today, certainly as far as his fans are concerned.
OK, well, these guys obviously spent an awful lot of money to come to the races, and what they were given today was a really special race. Lewis Hamilton battling hard, Jenson Button, Fernando Alonso all battling hard, but one man out in front. Nobody could touch him. That man is Sebastian Vettel. Let's hear from him right now in the driver's press conference.
Sebastian, a great win made possible by that overtake on Fernando early on, and then some tears from you on the podium as well.
Yeah, very emotional. I mean, this circuit means a lot to me and has been very special. Obviously, my first win here, so when I crossed the line, I remembered every single bit, and the podium is unbelievable. When you stand up there, You know, you feel so blessed because it doesn't happen to many people. So many people, you know, underneath and coming all the way from the, you know, even from Curva Grande all the way, it's filled with people, and yeah, it's just unbelievable. A circuit that has been tough for us to really, you know, be competitive the last 2 years and come back this year. And really, the car was amazing in qualifying yesterday, and in the race even better, I think. So obviously, it was crucial. The start wasn't that good. Fernando, I don't know where he was coming from, but it took me a while to understand that we were actually 3 alongside going into turn 1. Yeah, I kept second, and then after the restart, I was able to pass him. He didn't give me much room there. I don't know if he still believed I was on that side. I was halfway on the grass, but it was just enough. So yeah, very enjoyable. And after that, as I said, the car was fantastic. So a great race for us and a very special win. 150 years of Italy, I think it makes it special for all the people here as well. So thanks to all the fans. Obviously, last time all the Italian people were cheering a bit more, but yeah, still it's very special to me to be in that place here again.
Well done. Jensen, you reprised your battle with Fernando from last year, but this time you came out in front.
Yeah, it was a really fun race actually. You know, fighting with Lewis, with Michael, and with Fernando. So yeah, it was a good race. Wasn't for the lead, which is a shame, but it was always going to be very difficult when we were down in 7th at one point and 6th after the start. So a tough start to the race, but a lot of fun, and yeah, the atmosphere here is fantastic. It's electric. So another good race. I think just we've got to get everything together on race weekends, and we'll hopefully be challenging Red Bull and Seb. So great job by the whole team. We just little things that we need to work on.
Well done. Fernando, you said before the race that the start was going to be crucial. Have you ever done a better start than that? Absolutely fantastic.
Well, we've been doing some good starts in the last couple of Grand Prix, but always starting 5th or 6th is not enough room to overtake. But here in Monza, we knew that if the car was in the same feeling of good starts, here in Monza you have enough space and enough run into the first corner to overtake people. So we maximized the potential in our start, and we've been leading the race for a couple of laps, but obviously we were not competitive enough to fight for victory, so we tried to manage the podium possibility, and it was very close at the end with Luis, but it was a fantastic race, fantastic feeling in the podium, as Sebastian mentioned. I think here in Monza is very, very passionate what the fans in the podium giving you big emotions, and yeah, I think well done to the whole team. It was a stressful weekend with a lot of pressure here in Italy for them, and we managed the race, I think, in the best situation possible, no mistakes, and I think being in the podium with Mark retiring from the race and Luis behind us, so one Red Bull, one McLaren behind us, I think it's a great achievement.
Well done. Before the race, all the talk was of the gamble that you'd taken, Sebastian, on the gearing. You must have been a little concerned, I would imagine, when you found yourself behind Fernando at the start.
Not really. I don't think we took any gamble for today. I think we took the gamble yesterday in qualifying. Obviously, you know, the people saw our top speed wasn't very high, so gears were probably shorter than the rest of the field. So we were, you know, not that optimistic in qualifying because obviously we can't use the speed with the wing open, etc. But for the race, we were pretty confident, and also, you know, we were not afraid of the DRS zones in case we have to battle other people. I think, you know, it worked fantastically well. Obviously, I was able to pass Fernando without DRS, but I think even with DRS, it would have been maybe a bit more comfortable a lap later. But yeah, all in all, I think we did the right thing. So great, you know, great race car, great speed all the way through, and I think the gearing was just right.
And the message from Red Bull, told you so. They knew they'd be okay, and it means Sebastian Vettel, 25 points once again. We will show you the way the drivers' battle looks in just a moment. Jenson Button and Fernando Alonso finishing on the podium. Lewis Hamilton fighting very hard to get up there, and Michael Schumacher involved in a great battle. Felipe Massa was back to front at one point, but finished 6th. Jaime Alguersuari, well played to him, just in front of Paul di Resta, Bruno Senna and Sebastian Buemi, who round off the point scorers today. Pastor Maldonado was running high for a time. He finished just outside of the points. Heikki Kovalainen for Team Lotus, his best finish so far of the season, and the same applies to Timo Glock who finished 15th. And then we get down to the guys that didn't finish the race. Most of this, of course, caused by the man who started slip-sliding around right at the very beginning and ended up crashing into two cars at great speed. Vitaly Petrov, Nico Rosberg in the middle of that, thanks to Tonio Liuzzi taking them all out right at the very start of the Grand Prix. And this is how it looks as far as the Drivers' Championship is concerned. Sebastian Vettel, he's top, he's first, 112 points ahead of Fernando Alonso, with Jenson Button sitting third. And this is what it means for the Drivers' Championship. If Sebastian Vettel wins, then Fernando Alonso has to be third or better at the next race, and Button and Webber have to be second or better. So as you can see, very tight, very close, but it means that Sebastian Vettel could be the champion. Red Bull, as far as the Constructors' Championship are concerned, are very close indeed, 126 points between them. And we're now joined by the man at the helm of that team, Christian Horner, alongside David Coulthard, who's come down from the commentary box to join us. Well, congratulations. It was once again a good and a bad day for you. We'll talk about the good to start with. We said is the plan to run and hide with Sebastian Vettel, and he seems very, very good at that. He's one fast young man, isn't he?
It's been an unbelievable day for Seb. I mean, a fantastic race. Anybody that thinks he can't overtake, I think he completely disproved that today. So unbelievable for us to win in Monza. We completely didn't expect that result, but it was a really dominant drive.
Christian, one thing I'm curious to know is how are you going to deal with the mixed emotions? Obviously, Seb's getting one step closer to this World Championship. Mark, frustrating running through the first corner with Felipe Massa, and then the incident at Parabolica. Do you just let them, take some time to himself, or do you go in there and chat with them? How will you deal with it?
No, I mean, they're both grown-ups. They're both, mature guys. And, the things that put it into perspective, we lost a team member earlier this week after a very brave fight against cancer, young girl, Erin Pezzella. So, that kind of things put things into perspective. So this result, we'd like to dedicate to her and her family. And, our guys, they're both fighters. Mark is going to be disappointed. He's going to be frustrated today, but he'll bounce back. He's determined to, get back to winning ways, and hopefully he can do that in a very near future.
Christian, earlier on I just said that if you were to pick out two races that you were least likely to win would be Spa and Monza. I'd like to know, when did the development start to turn this around?
Well, we put a lot of effort into this package for Monza. I mean, the aero guys and all the design office and production guys have done a great job with the upgrade that we bought here specific for this race, as have most of the other teams. And it's testimony to that hard work, to that team spirit, that we've managed to come here, we've managed to be quick at the two races and win both races that, on paper, should be our worst.
And your job now is to try and calm Sebastian Vettel down so he can go and do the business in Singapore, and I guess prep Mark Webber up. We'll have another look at the incident that led to the end of his race right now, but what will you be saying to him from here on in after once again he had a struggle in the Grand Prix?
Well, he knows. I mean, first of all, I think we've got the incident here at the first corner, and so he's lost the wing. He's trying to get back to the pits as quickly as possible. It was just unfortunate. He was going for it. He knew he needed to make ground quickly. He's come from a long way back with a DRS, gone to the outside. It was very, very tight there. Just run out of room, and a racing incident.
Just a touch, a little bit sloppy, really. There's no way out that outside in that corner, is there?
I think you're relying on Massa to be very cooperative, which
it doesn't have to be.
Didn't need to be. So a racing incident.
Okay, well, congratulations today, and on behalf of us and the whole of the BBC, do send our condolences to Erin's family, and a fitting way to celebrate a great win for Sebastian Vettel. Well done to him.
Thank you very much indeed.
Okay, Christian, thank you for joining us as well. Well, one man who was desperate to be on that podium but couldn't quite do it, couldn't quite get past Fernando Alonso at the end, was Lewis Hamilton. Let's hear from him, because he was involved in some great racing today.
Well, Lewis, from 3 abreast at the start to just missing out and getting Fernando at the end, was this a great race or was it a missed opportunity?
It was a good race, yeah. Got some points that I finished, so I can't really complain.
So much happened within that race. We'll try and talk about as much as we can fit in. Tell us about the restart, first of all.
When Michael got past you. Restart, Michael was on the outside of me, so I was looking at him in my mirrors, and then before I knew it, the guys had gone. So I missed an opportunity to slipstream Sebastian, and it caught me napping, and but once I finally got past, I was able to chase down, and I had fun chasing Fernando.
There were some big battles with you and Michael, who's just walked in behind you. Just tell us, did you think it was all clean and fair, his racing? At one point you were sent out onto the grass.
Yeah, that's racing.
I heard you saying on your team radio about one move. Do you think he adhered to that?
Sure.
And just tell us about how you're feeling after all of this, championship-wise, thoughts going into the next long haul. This is our last little trip we've got in Europe.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next couple of races when we go away overseas, and it's going to be exciting. We still have 6 races left. We'll continue to push, and I hope that we're able to at least get a couple more wins for the team.
Just finally, do you think McLaren missed a trick today? Were you racing the wrong team in some way? Were you just concentrating too much on Red Bull?
We weren't focusing on anyone. We're just that was as fast as we could go. So just lost a little bit on the straights. That's why I couldn't pass Michael, but otherwise it was pretty good.
Thanks, Liz.
It was pretty good. Lewis not being drawn there on the Michael Schumacher situation. Very restrained, very controlled, and that probably sums up his driving today, doesn't it?
One of the, well, I don't want to use the word lackluster, but certainly, you know, we're used to thunder and guts from Lewis, and we didn't see that today. And I don't know why, because I expected to see it. And I felt that it was a much more controlled Lewis. He wanted to finish this race.
You can't moan when he's full of beans and then call him lackluster when he's got control behind the wheel.
I quantified it. I said I wouldn't call it lackluster.
Okay.
Be careful.
Okay, you used a word you wouldn't use. Good. Let's talk about Michael Schumacher then, because he was very much 50% of that exciting partnership on track today. While Lewis was being well behaved, was Michael Schumacher, because that was the first thing you talked about when you came down from the commentary box.
I think that Michael pushed the boundaries, as he always has done. And this one for me especially, you know, Lewis made the move. Michael, I think, turned early to defend that move, in terms of he turned early on his natural line. And, you know, the rules are very clear. You can't crowd a car. We saw Michael crowd Rubens Barrichello towards the wall in Hungary last year. And I think that was potentially another one of those situations. So, you know, we don't often hear Ross Brawn telling him, and here we see it in the rundown to, second chicane, and you know, getting out of it. So we're going to see that again. And, you know, it was a great race in the end. I don't think they need to go to the stewards, but that is absolutely on the limit as far as I'm concerned.
And Eddie, what would have been going on? What kind of conversations would have been had? And what would you have done if you were the team boss involved in that situation?
Well, we know what to expect from Michael. He's a tough campaigner, has been always that way all his life, so we shouldn't be really over-surprised. However, I gather what would have happened is, for sure, Lewis told the team reported it to the stewards, particularly Charlie Whiting initially, and they would have reported and said, look, take a look at this. Then, very clearly, it's not the engineer who's talking to Michael, it's Ross Brawn, and that's the significant difference for me. So if I had to, as the team boss sitting on the wall, and I had to get involved and speak to a driver, then you know you're being told what to do. It's a kind of a coded message. Do not do that again. We're going to get a penalty.
Right.
And that's the clear message. And I think that's why Ross did it, because it was that serious.
So when you heard from Eddie, you knew it was serious.
Well, I tried not to hear from Eddie, believe me.
Excuse me. I think the thing that's a shame, sorry, as I've got something in my throat, is that was a great race for Michael Schumacher today. Fantastic start. You know, he was always going to potentially end up in that result. So he doesn't actually need to get involved in that. It's too marginal. You know, instead of we're celebrating what a great racy drive, what a great second half of the season he's having, we're discussing, was it fair?
Yeah.
And, you know, that's just a shame for me.
OK, well, perhaps we should still celebrate the fact that it was a great drive by Michael Schumacher. Here's his take on how the race unfolded. He finished in 5th.
Well, Michael, another great start and some great battles out there for you as well today.
Indeed, yeah. Yeah, it was a fun afternoon.
Just tell us about the battle you had with Lewis Hamilton. He came on his team radio at one point and was saying one move. Was all your racing clean and fair, do you think?
I think so, yes. I mean, I felt I did exactly what I was supposed to do, and as far as I understand, there was no request for me to see the stewards, so I guess all is in order.
Just tell us, because at some points you were running in a podium position, where do you think that was lost today?
No, I think that the start was tremendous, and that's where we sort of picked up the positions, but it was a kind of dream to stay, but you know, the dream becomes reality when you start racing these guys, and there's just been enough quick to pass and to just disappear. If you look, even with only 20 laps to go, Lewis was able to pull a gap of 15 seconds, so you see that the speed of the car is unfortunately quick enough that we can't really keep them behind us.
The last couple of races would indicate that the progression and everything's coming together at Mercedes. Is that how it feels for you?
It's certainly a nature of the track in Spa and here that sort of helped us. That's the major point why we look certainly better. But definitely we keep on improving, and we will hopefully improve a bit further for the next coming races to at least get closer to those bunch up front, because it's certainly more fun to be where we are now than where we had been.
Thanks, Michael.
Well, it's good to see him fighting. After the Hungarian Grand Prix, he wasn't very apologetic for some of his driving, and then a couple of weeks later at the next race he decided to apologise. So maybe he'll have a look back at the tape later on, do you think?
I don't think so. I think that's his natural style. That's what we've become accustomed to. That's what we did and still love him for. And in actual fact, I'd much prefer him to be driving with some sort of authority and some sort of aggression, because for the last year prior to this, we didn't always see it. And I've seen an emerging a new Michael Schumacher, and I'm enjoying it.
OK, well, one man who has asked for aggression from the team, he's asked the team to be hard on him, is Bruno Senna. I've got a feeling, Bruno, they're not going to be very hard on you tonight. You had a strong qualifying at the last race and a strong race pace here today. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it was a good race. Of course, being in the wrong place, the wrong time in the first corner didn't help my efforts much, because I wasted all the hard work in qualifying. But in fairness, we had a good car, and the team did a more risky strategy, going for 3 stints on the options, and that was that. It was we were fighting for positions right from the back, and got into points. So that's very great feeling.
I just would like to know, you've driven for a team of the new teams, and you're now with a more established teams, in fact a world champion team. We're trying to find out, what is it required that a team that you used to drive, how are they ever going to get up to where you are now?
I think they have to grow a lot. I mean, experience counts a lot in this sport, both for the drivers and for the teams, as you know very well. And I think for the drivers, it's very important to be able to have a car that shows the potential. So this being here in this team just makes me be able to have some strong races and hopefully build a nice path for the future.
Bruno, I said during commentary, this is your opportunity in these last races of this Grand Prix season to put yourself in the shop window, show Renault that you are a potential team leader in the future. So you needed to go racy out there. And we saw some really good battles with Buemi. If you want to, I think we're going to have some images here that you can just talk through here. What was your thought? Were you absolutely, I am going to finish in front of this guy, or were you always going to err on the side of caution if it got messy?
The Toro Rosso was very fast on the straight, so I had to take parabolic absolutely perfectly to be able to overtake, and I got stuck behind Toro Rosso for a long time on the race in the first and the second stint. So, you know, it was good fun, but ideally, if I had a bit more free air, maybe I would have gotten pole in the end of the race. But you know, this is buts and ifs, and I'm happy that we managed to get in the points today.
And can you believe your luck? Because it was only a few weeks ago, in fact 2 weeks ago, that you were sitting at home thinking, well, I don't know whether I'm going to get a drive again this year, and suddenly here you are. You've raced at the classic Spa circuit, qualified brilliantly, raced at Monza, and everyone knows how special Monza is, and you've picked up some points. You're right back in the heart of Formula One, having been absolutely nowhere just days ago.
Well, some guys need a break as well, you know, and I think in a very short time I was second in the Champion GP2 in 4 years, competing with much more experienced drivers. So being competitive was never a problem, but getting to Formula One was very difficult, and everybody knows how difficult it is to get into Formula One. And
sure.
Maybe now I'm in Formula One, and I hope that I can grow in there and stay here.
Good luck. Bruno, I've got to ask one question. You've got a couple of more races, and then we're back to your hometown in Brazil, Sao Paulo. What's that going to be like for you in a car like this?
I'll tell you, last year was absolutely amazing there. It was the first time I raced in Brazil. I never raced in Brazil before starting my racing career. And it was super special already. People gave me so much energy, and I couldn't believe how much difference that makes, because I've never been there. So being with a good car there will be just, you know, a great experience. I don't even know how it's going to be. I hope that my heart can take it.
Well, we hope our hearts can take it. It's been great watching you so far. Congratulations. Good to see you back in a decent car. Well
Thanks
done.
very much.
All right, thanks a lot, Bruno. So Bruno finishes in the points. A strong finish for him in 9th place. Just in front of him, Paul di Resta, who was slightly nervous, wasn't he? Because Bruno was really eating into him towards the end there. Here's Paul's take on today's Grand Prix.
Well, Paul, let's talk about the start, because it was a great start from yourself, and you managed to keep out of all of that chaos, I imagine, that you saw.
Yeah, I mean, my launch wasn't very good, and but the guys around me didn't get it either. It was a bit strange, really, because the pre-launch was quite good, but going into turn one, I could just see a Williams coming lunging up the inside of me, and I went to the outside. as far as I could, but there was just no way to avoid it, and I had to bump across the chicane. But really from there we lost a few positions, just unlucky at restarts. There was a bit of a tangle and I had to back out, and Perez got by and then Maldonado got by, just through Webber losing his front wing and being at the wrong place at the wrong time. But we went aggressive on the tyre strategy. I think we extracted as much as we could from what we had. Ultimate lap time just wasn't there. You could see Jaime Alguersuari was a bit quicker, but you know, we'll take those 4 points. It does us a good stead for the Constructors' Championship. Now we've overtaken Sauber.
Yeah, you've got your 4 points, but even after such an eventful race, just a couple of laps to go, and you're still getting told on your team radio to keep pushing.
We were on the primes, and Bruno was obviously on the options. We had a little bit in reserve, but the team were keeping me up to date. But it would have been tough had it been any longer. But you know, I think they had a bit of a stronger car. But you know, we'll put our heads down. We're going into the flyaways. We've shown very strong on tracks that you need a bit of downforce and a bit of mechanical grip recently. So I'm quite happy going into it, and hopefully we can certainly put a fight up for Sauber.
Well done today.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Paul. He's had a pretty strong European season so far. On our way into the European leg of this year, we said that Paul was the best rookie out there. Do you still maintain that he's at the front of the pack for the new guys?
Unquestionably. You know, Adrian Sutil is no slouch. Very quick racing driver, got experience. Paul's been able to consistently out-qualify him, and he's keeping the car on the track. He's inexperienced. He'd be the guy that you'd maybe expect would, you know, make a mistake at the start of a Grand Prix. You know, he's been able to deal with different fuel loads. He hasn't spent the last few years in single-seaters. He's been in touring cars. So I think that just shows his depth of talent. And one final thing, of course, when he was teammates with Sebastian Vettel in Formula 3, he was able to beat him. Yeah. So I don't remember the last time Sebastian was beaten by a teammate.
Yeah. I nevertheless completely concur with that, but just a thought, Perez has been a remarkable rookie as well, as indeed has Maldonado. So I think we've been very fortunate this year. There's very little between them. You could throw a hanky over the three and you've more or less got the same product. It's just that I agree that I think that Paul just edges it for me too.
OK, well, let's talk about a man who isn't a rookie but looked to make a real rookie mistake at the start of today's race. Very lucky that everybody hopped out of their cars feeling OK after this one, because it was a high-speed accident, David. Just explain what Liuzzi did wrong here.
Well, we're getting some jumpy images here, but if we watch him in the back of the screen there, he's gone really wide, got a wheel on the grass, had to avoid another car. He's probably thinking at that point, you know, I'm going to make some places. Does a tank slapper on the grass, and then unfortunately he's got no control over that car at all. He will have known he was going to collect some cars in a fragment of time, and he would have expected to, well, we're going to see from Rosberg's point of view here, who was one of the lead cars that was taken out. So he's gone this straight line down into the first corner, nice and steady on the brakes, goes to the outside of the Renault. He'll be thinking, right, nice, let's position it, and then they get a double hit. So that would have been great in indoor pinball, but not so good in Formula One.
Very lucky there, because if you can imagine, when cars are bouncing over the grass, usually they take off a bit, particularly at that speed. And the worst thing possible, you could have had that car sideways, broadside across the head of two drivers. We ought to be very grateful here at the moment that we didn't have a very serious impact, because it was also the curb that would launch the car up. I'm well impressed the way the car's behaved here.
Well, very good point, Eddie, and he actually missed the curb on the inside. Had he hit the curb, that would have been a very different accident. We actually had a sports car take off through there in a sports car race because he hit that curb, and he flew some distance. So I think that Formula One can say, well, that was unfortunate incident, but we're lucky day.
Absolutely.
OK, well, another man who had a bit of an issue today was Felipe Massa at the very same spot as this incident. He ended up back to front. He did well to fight through, but just isn't happening for him, considering he's driving here in front of the Tifosi, David, Felipe Massa.
Well, in many ways, it seems to be the same for Felipe Massa and Ferrari as for Mark Webber and Red Bull. They just don't seem to get a break. They've got speed. We know they've been able to win Grand Prix in the past, but for whatever reason, they just seem to be either in an incident, in traffic, or just not delivering that last little bit.
OK, well, let's hear then from Felipe Massa, then we'll hear from Eddie Jordan straight afterwards.
Well, Felipe, let's start at the beginning. It was all going quite well, and then you had that tangle with Mark Webber. Just talk about that move from your seat.
Well, I mean, I was in front of him on the second corner. You know, he tried to pass me on the outside, and he couldn't. So I braked later. I was doing the corner. I was in front of him. He touched me, and I spun. So nothing really to say about that. Just that you know, he pushed me out, and it was really unfortunately because I lost all the possibilities I had on my race.
Well, you did work your way back up a bit, but as always and as often happens with you, sometimes you're sitting further forward, and yet when the checkered flag falls, sadly you're not still in that position. How do you feel today?
Well, it's really not unlucky. I mean, we didn't start and finish in the right position. You know, that's for sure. I'm not very happy because of that. So, you know, we need to concentrate and work hard to Singapore to start and finish in the right position, which is not what's happening many races this year.
Yeah, time very much running out this season for Felipe Massa. Time not running out, though, for Sebastian Vettel. He has got plenty of races now to try and become the world champion, and it could happen, guys, at the next race in Singapore.
Well, for the championship and keeping the excitement alive, then I hope that isn't the case. It's not that I don't wish success for Sebastian, but, you know, it'd be nice to just mathematically keep that championship alive.
Well, you say that. I mean, what's the chances of him being beaten at this stage? Really, the answer is nil. The bookies are paying out the dividends on the winner of the championship. I'm sure if they're not, they should be, because this has been a remarkable season. On the back of what he did last year, we're looking at a remarkable young man who is particularly nice, deserves all the accolades that he's getting, and his just reward will be this new championship. And I hope it's over sooner rather than later. And let's do it in Singapore. If he's able to win it, good for him.
If he wins it, he deserves it, doesn't he? Just to let you know that you can relive today's race, of course. All the highlights coming your way tonight on BBC 3 from 7 o'clock. There's some more sporting action as well today right here on the BBC. Over on BBC 2, the final day live from the Royal Aberdeen Club for the Walker Cup. And there's also some MotoGP action coming your way next Sunday, 12:30 from Aragon. Of course, there won't be any Formula 1 next weekend. We're back in 2 weekends' time for the Singapore Grand Prix on BBC 1 and BBC 1 HD, and it's going to be pretty special, I think. Thank you very much, David Coulthard and Eddie Jordan. Just to let you know, if you'd like to press the red button, then you can join us right now for the F1 Forum. Plenty still to talk about, of course. This place has seen some great battles and some amazing champions over the years. Well, today, it saw a great battle. In 2 weeks, we might just have the champion. See you in Singapore. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.
Side by side, and Alonso lead the Italian Grand Prix.
Next time on Formula One, round 14, Singapore.